My name's Mark Hugger. Welcome to Next Steps for Ambitious Beginners, plain talk about bidding. And we are going to be looking first at sort of a key aspect of 2/1, which is what do we do when our partner opens one spade or one heart and we don't have enough to bid at the 2 level. We don't have enough to make a game forcing bid. And the answer is we bid one no trump. Now we could have as few, maybe as 5 points when we make this bid, and we could have up to whatever it would take for us to do a 2/1 bid, right? So we might have 11. For the time being, that's exactly the range we're going to use, that when we bid one no trump, it is showing 5 to 11 points. But more importantly, it's showing a lot of different shapes and a lot of different hands, right? And the only, probably the hardest part about 2/1 is how do we bid over a one no trump forcing bid? How do we handle these auctions? And the first aspect we're going to look at is major raises, hands in which we know partner has opened a suit and we have support, and we want to define what we have. Do we have just 3 spades or do we have more? Do we have 5 points or do we have a 8 or 9 point hand, or do we have an invitational hand? So let's take this first hand. We have 5, 7, 8 points. This is a hand, imagine your partner holding 17 points and 5 spades and a second suit. All right, now maybe some shortness. He's going to want to know you have 8 points, because with an 8-point hand, he might go directly to game, or he might explore, right? Bid again to see if there's a game, right? So with this type of hand, you want to show him, I have constructive values that you might be able to build a game on. And we can simply do that by bidding 2 spades. Right? Now this takes on really special meaning. When we bid 2 spades here, we're promising, just think 8 to 9 points, but it really includes a bad 10 or a good 7, right? So, but think 8 to 9 and 3 spades, and we'll get to why it's only 3 later on. Maybe not in this session even, but for now, this is going to be a constructive raise with 3 spades. And this means that if a partner has no interest in game over 8 points, 9 points, and 3 cards, he's simply going to pass. And we will find ourselves usually in a very good position, right? Here we had a couple diamond losers. We could lose a couple clubs. It's a hand that doesn't really want to get to game despite the really good spade holding. Right? He has 13 points. And we find ourselves at 2 spades and we're perfectly happy. Right? 8 to 9 points. Fudge on the top, fudge on the bottom. Could be 7, could be 10, depending on whether upgrading or downgrading. And exactly 3 spades. Here again, another spade bid, and we have 7, 8 points. Right? This is definitely a constructive hand. 8 high card points. How do we express this? How do we show 3 and no more? Because we're going to find a bid for showing this exact type of point structure with more than 3 spades. Well, we'll just bid 2 spades again. All right. Partner is going to pass if he has no interest in game over 8 to 9 points. He's going to probably investigate with a good 14, 15, or 16. He might get another bid in, find out if you're at the top of your range, or if there's something special about your hand or the fit you have with his second suit. Or if he's got 17 points, he's probably just going to bid game, right? So this is a very useful bid. 3-card constructive raise. But they don't always look like this, right? So what happens if we get this hand? Now we have 6 points, right? And we could bid 2 spades. You probably might be doing that now. But notice that the 2 spades was really fun when it was 8 to 9 points, because partner would know whether to proceed. He wouldn't just bid on with 14 points, not knowing your range, right? And very often you would get to 3 spades, where you could finally pass and show you had a terrible hand, right? So here, this is what the first time we're going to use the one no trump forcing bids, semi-forcing as we'll learn we're going to call it, to create two paths to two spades, right? One spade, two spade will be three constructive, three with 8 to 9 points. But if we use one no trump forcing here, then we can create another path to our two spades, right? Now we can bid two spades here, and we've shown three with a weaker hand. He will never think when you bid spades here, he will never think that you have three and constructive values. Okay. Now, when you bid two spades here, he is not going to know whether you have three or not, because you very well may like spades better than two diamonds and feel compelled to keep the auction open, right? So he doesn't know what you have here, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because he still knows that you don't have any more than 9, and in fact, if you have 8, 7, or 8, or 9, right? If you had a constructive spade bid, you would have bid two spades. So he knows when you bid this that you are weak. You might only have two spades, in which case you could have more points, as we'll discover. But he knows that you don't have spade support and constructive values, right? So we created two paths to two spades, right? One in which we bid a spade, and then one no trump, and the other where we just bid a spade directly. Right? So we are making better definitions of our 5 to 11 point hand. Let's try another. Here we have 5 points, but do you want to bid this 5 point hand? I would want to bid on this hand. When partner opens a spade, right, we have a fit, and I want to show it, but I don't want to promise constructive values at the same time. So I would bid one no trump, right? Creating a fork in the road, right? And when he bids two hearts, right? Now I know he's 5-4. Now I'm going to bid my two spades. Now when I do this, I am trying to say to him, I don't have a constructive hand, and I have 3 spades. Now, in practice, as we'll discover, he really can't tell whether we have 3 or not. It may be that we just prefer spades to hearts, and we have at least 2. Because one thing he knows for sure is you don't have 3 spades and 8 to 9 points. Right? That is what you've denied, having a constructive raise with 3 spades. Right? So one no trump as a path to 2 spades. 1 spade, 2 spade, or 1 spade, 1 no trump, and then 2 spades. This is a great thing to use to show still one more hand. Let's say that you have this one. Right? We have 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. We have an invitational hand with 3 spades, right? 3 spades. What we usually do is we bid another suit. In standard American, we might bid 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, and 2 hearts, and then bid spades with a jump. Basically the same idea here is we're going to reserve 3 spades, 1 spade, 3 spades for a different type of bid. For the time being, we'll say 1 spade, 3 spades is how we would show this amount of points with 4 spades, right? But what we'll do is use 1 no trump, forcing, semi-forcing, and when partner bids, we bid 3 spades. Right? Now we're showing invitational values with only 3 spades, and based on that, partner can make a decision on whether to go to game or not. The point being that the opener has some very specific information from you. I have invitational values in only 3 spades, which means that when we get this hand, right, where we have 4, 8, 10, 11 points, but we have 4 spades, we can use 3 spades for a different purpose. We can say that 1 spade, 3 spades, for instance, is a 4-card limit raise. Right? That's a typical use of 3 spades. We might add another way to get to that later on to show 4 cards and leave a little bit more room. But here, 1 spade, 3 spades says I'm invitational and I have at least 4 spades. Right? Important information for your partner to use when deciding whether to go to game or not. that you have an extra trump. An extra trump very often being worth an extra trick. And here he had 10, 12 points, heard 4-card limit raise, and he went to game. We might need a new partner, but Thickson is a good guy, so we won't discard him away. There is the essence of the lesson, though, that in our major raise structure, right, when our partner opens a spade or a heart, how do we bid on? How do we show different values and different lengths of trump suits? Well, we take advantage of our forcing bid of 1 no trump. Now, if our partner passes 1 no trump, he's going to have very specific holdings, and he's making that bid because he'd rather play 1 no trump than hear you invite him to anything. Meaning he opened an 11-point hand with 5-3-3-2, or he's got 4 spades and 5 hearts and his 2-2 and is weak. Hands that would not want to hear an invitation. That's why it's called semi-no forcing, why we give him a chance to quit. But here, where he bids on, we are able to use 1 no trump to divide our constructive raise from a weak raise. And we're able to use 1 no trump to create a special pass to 3 spades so that 1 spade, 3 can be reserved for another purpose. We'll get to those other purposes later on. Next time, we will look at some other aspects of this 1 no trump forcing or semi-forcing bid.